Hi babe, this is video number 6 of To Shay Love Mom. Today I want to kind of follow up with what we were discussing yesterday about disfellowshipping and how it's questionable if that doctrine is even really something in the Bible. But I did find some scriptures that talk about what to do if somebody is sinning and how to handle the situation. The first scripture is in Luke 6:27 through 37. And it says, "But I say to you who are listening, continue to love your enemies, to do good to those hating you, to bless those cursing you, to pray for those who are insulting you. To him that strikes you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him that takes away your outer garment, do not withhold even the undergarment. Also, just as you want men to do to you, do the same to them. Continue becoming merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Moreover, stop judging, and you will by no means be judged. And stop condemning, and you will by no means be condemned. Keep on releasing, and you will be released." Another scripture that I found that was really good is in Romans 2, verse 1. It says, "Therefore you are inexcusable, O man, whoever you are, if you judge. For when you judge another, you condemn yourself, because you who judge practice the same things." So, from the scriptures, it looks like men are in no place to judge. This is something that only Jehovah God can do. An example of somebody who did a very serious sin was King David. We can read about that in Psalms 32, and it talks about it in 3 through 5. This is when he was having an affair with Bathsheba. He even planned on having her husband killed so that he could have her to himself. So these were very serious sins. But here's what he said. "When I kept silent, my bones wasted away because of my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength evaporated like water in the dry summer heat. Finally I confessed my sin to you. I did not cover my error. I said, I will confess my transgressions to Jehovah, and you pardon the error of my sins." So it's Jehovah that gives us forgiveness, not men. Another important thing to discuss is the actual protocol set in the Bible to what to do when somebody returns. And following up yesterday when we talked about the man in 1 Corinthians who was sleeping with his father's wife, they said to remove him from their midst. But Paul followed up with that in 2 Corinthians 2, 5 through 7. It says, "Now if anyone has caused sadness, he has saddened not me, but all of you to an extent. Not to be too harsh in what I say, this rebuke given by the majority is sufficient for such a man. Now you should instead kindly forgive him and comfort him, so that he may not be overwhelmed by excessive sadness. I therefore exhort you to confirm your love for him." So this punishment wasn't supposed to go on and on and on. Even if somebody was to be removed, they were supposed to be welcomed back before they got to that point of excessive sadness. They're supposed to be welcomed. Another big example is in Luke 15 about the prodigal son. And I did talk to your dad about that. He explained to me that the father welcomed his son back, but that didn't say that he was welcomed back by the whole group, just like Jehovah would welcome you back if you return to the religion, but the congregation might take longer. But when I read that, let's go ahead and look at it. That's Luke 15. It goes on to talk about the man who had 2 sons. The one went and squandered all his money and property, lived a debauched life. He spent everything, a famine occurred, and he fell into need. That's what drove him back. It doesn't even say that he was really sorry for what he did or anything. He just got real low and he went back. And he traveled to the road and said, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Make me as one of your hired men." But the father said, "Quick, bring out the robe, the best one, and clothe him with it, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. Also bring the fattened calf, slaughter it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead, but he has come to life again. He was lost and had been found." And they started to enjoy themselves. And then it goes on to talk about his brother coming in from the field and being upset. And he said, "Look, these many years I have slaved for you, and never once did I disobey your orders, and yet you never once gave me a young goat to enjoy with my friends." So it shows actually a welcoming of everybody around him. There wasn't any kind of judicial committee or hearing or a certain time period that somebody had to prove they were faithful and sorry and repentant. Jehovah gives us forgiveness immediately, and that's what makes us feel better. So one other point I wanted to make is talk about the groups who do practice shunning also. Some Mormon groups do. Some polygamous sects do. The Amish do. And Scientologists do. And anybody who leaves that group, they call them, traitors, betrayers. They talk about them being condemned to hell or losing God's favor. They also call them apostates. And that's a word that I used to be really scared of. But you wouldn't be scared of somebody who is called an apostate because they left Scientology, or called an apostate because they stopped being Amish. And you wouldn't think it was loving for their families to stop talking to them because they left those groups. But the word apostate is actually just somebody who leaves a religious or political affiliation. So it's not really the wicked word that we were taught to think it is. So it's just something to think about. And I guess I'm done talking about this subject, and I'll get to another one next time. I love you. Bye, babe.